Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight in Our News, OPM wants to put the Prime Minister's quarantine controversy to rest. Educator and pastor Reverend Charles W. Saunders dies at age 91. A man dies following a double shooting on McKay Street, and government's goal is to build over 1,600 homes. Welcome to Our News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, government is looking to move past the controversy surrounding the Prime Minister's admission that he broke quarantine last month. Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, today addressed it for what he called the last time.
Here's what we're going to say on that, because I know this has been lingering, and I think we want to put this to rest.
Watson, looking to put the ordeal behind them, says the people want the government to be able to move on past it. Questions over which account of the Prime Minister breaking quarantine last month is true mounted after Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville on Tuesday said Davis was not yet in quarantine when he went to pay for Christmas gifts at a local jewelry store on December 23rd. However, that statement contradicted comments made by the Prime Minister himself during a memorial service when he said he left quarantine to make the purchase.
Here's what it is. At no time did the Prime Minister, who was vaccinated, boosted, and had just tested negative 3 times in a row, represent a transmission risk to others, nor had he been ordered, let me get clear, nor had he been ordered into quarantine. He chose to quarantine.
The rules at the time required people exposed to the virus to quarantine for 14 days. According to health rules passed by the Davis administration in 2021, breaking quarantine is an offense that carries a fine of $500.
There's really nothing more to be said on this issue. Those are the facts. And the Bahamian people have not asked us to move forward with it. We've given this facts, and for the Bahamian people's sake, we want to move on and focus on what we are doing with the fight against COVID, how we are moving forward in the healthcare system and in the hospitals to create new hospitals here in the capital. There's so much more work that we are doing. We want the Bahamian people to highlight. Those are the facts. Those are the particular, and we want to move on from this. The Bahamian people want us to move on from this.
Opposition leader Michael Pintard has said Davis needs to publicly address the quarantine breach. Former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis has called on Davis to pay the fine. When asked about calls for him to pay a fine or resign yesterday, Davis offered no comment.
That's the kind of question you'll have for me. Yes, sir. No answer.
And today, when asked that same question, Watson said,
"You can only pay a fine if you've been charged with something. He's not been charged with anything."
OPM has maintained that Davis did not violate any law. Remembered as one of the greatest Baptist leaders, Dr. Charles W. Saunders passed away at age 91 today. Since 1974, Dr. Saunders served as senior pastor of Salem Union Baptist Church and also headed the Bahamas Baptist National Missionary and Educational Conference. Under former Prime Minister Hewitt Ingram, Dr. Saunders was appointed chairman of the Police Service Commission. President of the National Baptist Convention, Dr. Lloyd Smith, said he had a heart of gold and his family is devastated.
Smallest child could talk to him. And he was, I would say, the greatest Baptist leader we had in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. He will be greatly missed by us in the Baptist faith. His wife is taking it very hard. His daughter, he had a daughter that we were very close, and his granddaughter, the granddaughter was the one really who used to really take care of him. But they all taken it hard.
In other news, a man was murdered last night during a double shooting on McQuay Street that left a woman in hospital. Megan Shepard has the details.
Family members crying out in anguish last night after a man believed to be in his mid-20s was shot dead, and a woman said to be in her early 30s was injured. She was transported to hospital where she is listed in stable condition. According to police press liaison, Assistant Superintendent of Police Audley Peters, the pair were co-parents.
Our investigations reveal that the male and female were riders of a motorcycle traveling west along McQuay Street when 2 male suspects emerged from a bushy area, produced firearms, and shot both victims. Both victims succumbed. One of the victims succumbed to their injuries, and the other is now in hospital. We do not know the reason for this incident. We are early in our investigations.
Peters says the police control room received reports of gunshots shortly after 8 p.m. He could not confirm the presence of CCTV in the McQuay Street area, but assured the public that police will use all relevant evidence to bring this matter to a close.
Officers will canvass this community, and I'm certain that there may be some technology available to us. We will use all of our avenues, all the resources available to ensure that this matter come to a positive conclusion that will bring about a conviction of the right person. No speculations.
ASP Peters is calling on the public to come forward with any information. He says it takes a community effort to see results.
We've taken a number of firearms off the street already, and they was based on information. And all we're asking people is to give us that information. Don't be a coward, be brave. If you want to talk, then you must do something. Then your talking has some value. But if you don't want to say something or do something, keep your mouth closed.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Housing and Transport Minister JoBeth Colby Davis says the Davis administration is looking to build over 1,600 homes during this term in office. Earlier this week, the ministry held an open house for potential homeowners. Colby Davis says the goal is to also expand to the Family Islands and surpass the record set by a previous housing minister.
Well, I set my goal to beat the Minister of Housing who built the most homes to date by record. And I think that number is about 1,600, if I'm correct. But that is former Minister Shane Gibson built the most homes to date. And so whatever his number is, my goal is to beat it. And so that's why we're going across the Family Island, including New Providence, to build as many homes as we can.
Police Commissioner Paul Rhodes speaking out on criticisms leveled at him during his recent trip to Dubai for World Expo 2020. Jasmine Brown has more.
The police commissioner addressing the Dubai drama as he made a guest appearance on the Royal Bahamas Police Force's talk show Cop Talk. Commissioner Rhodes telling the show's host that he had no plans to sit idly by and be attacked for being a part of the large Dubai delegation.
People have a right to express themselves, and I believe I'm a people, so I have a right to express my views as well. Although places seem not to believe that I should have a right to express myself, but you know, you attack me and you expect for me to just sit by and say nothing. That's I don't think God is pleased with that. Can't be.
Controversy swirled around the Dubai trip earlier this month. The fact that a delegation of more than 100 traveled to Dubai for the event while the Bahamas continues to suffer from an economic crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic did not sit well with many. Several members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force traveled to Dubai, including members of the band. Rule has defended his presence in Dubai with several tweets, including these two. On the talk show today, he reiterated that he paid his own way for the trip.
A lot has been said about it, but, you know, when the decision was made to go, I indicated then, I paid my own no expense to the government.
The police commissioner says despite what some may think, there was a lot achieved. He says he has been invited to return to Dubai for a law enforcement conference in March and is looking to take other senior officers along for the trip.
The Prime Minister and I traveled from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, where we were well received by the officials. I think one of the vice presidents of the country, and they gave us a tour of the facilities, and I've been invited back to Dubai in March, and so I'll be looking forward to going back.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Cloudy conditions ahead. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the first look at weather. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle, and a good Friday evening, everybody. Looking at our very warm conditions outside our studios. Once again this evening, temperatures in the low to mid 70s, 73 outside our studios right now with a few clouds. Those winds have picked up out of the west-southwest at 30 miles per hour, and your field slight temperature at 71. On our satellite, a low pressure system to the north of the Bahamas is trying to get its act together. It's deepening as we speak. Will continue to rapidly intensify as it pulls towards the north and away from us. That in turn will drag a very strong cold front across the Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Some cold air mass behind that and very windy conditions expected for the weekend. Looking like boating conditions and your beaching conditions will be going downhill. More changes in our weather. Stick with us. We'll tell you more in the second half of our newscast. Back to you, Kyle.
Still to come, the health minister cautiously optimistic amid a drop in new COVID cases. And the Ministry of Social Services holds domestic violence training. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
After starting the new year with record COVID-19 cases, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says officials are cautiously optimistic about the recent drop in cases. Earlier this month, the country confirmed over 800 cases in one day.
It's always good when you have numbers in any particular way of going down. And for us, we are grateful to the Bahamian people for practicing the appropriate protocols. It is important for the Ministry of Health to develop policies that will try to mitigate the effects, particularly hospitalizations for individuals suffering from COVID-19. For us, it's been a challenge. We all know, particularly in the media, that at a particular point in time, we were experiencing serious challenges at the Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital. But thanks to the effort of healthcare professionals, as well as the new nurses that we have brought in, we are now able to cope, and we are praying, and we remain very positioned in the event that the numbers begin to creep back up again. We will be able to execute some protocols.
Darville's comments came as he thanked Melia Nassau Beach Hotel on its final day as a vaccination site. He said over 20,000 vaccinations have taken place at the West Bay Street property. Vice President of External Affairs Robert Sands says Bahamar's staff vaccination rate is close to 72%, while over 92% of the mega resort's guests are fully vaccinated. However, he expressed concern over changes in entry protocols.
Because it has an impact in the source markets. Airlines and different persons become confused as to what are the current arrangements to enter into a country. And also some of the requirements can become onerous on the traveling public. We are grateful that the government delayed their approach to going to a PCR test and stayed to an antigen.
As cases dropped, he expressed hope that the CDC's travel advisory for the Bahamas will move down from a very serious level 4 to level 3 and eventually level 2. Sands added he is hopeful that the government will continue to review entry protocols that have a minimal impact on the traveling consumer.
Both in terms of costs, both in terms of the frequency of tests that they have to do, and also in terms of taking into consideration the overall safety and improvement of the COVID levels within our destination.
Well, following the tragic deaths of 21-year-old Heavenly Terveas and Bella Walker, the Ministry of Social Services partnered with non-profit organizations today to host domestic violence training. Their aim is to assist individuals in abusive situations. Berthany McDermott has that.
Following the murder of Heavenly Terveas, the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development held training sessions for members of the Revolutionized Relief Task Force. According to State Minister for Social Services Lisa Ramming, members of the task force will go into the community daily seeking out people who need help.
There's so much that persons who are going to be a part of the task force need to know, and certainly they cannot learn that in one day. But we want to give them the basics of what to look for, how to identify when they go from door to door, persons who may possibly be in an abusive situation.
The task force has 35 members so far. She said the plan is to have a similar training session on Grand Bahama, adding the goal is to be proactive.
I am tired of hearing somebody's killed and then we're like, what do we do next? Or somebody was beaten, they're in the hospital, what do we do? No, I realized that we have to go out. Our team realized that. Let's do something first to stop it.
Now, according to anger management consultant at Urban Renewal, Dr. Eric Fox, members of this task force will also be equipped to deal with young men that may be dealing with anger management issues.
We have a communication problem in this country when it comes to men. They cannot find words to put how they feel. The only certain words they know, and when they run out of words, then they start to punch and fight. So this training is giving them words to put to how they can communicate better.
21-year-old Heavenly Gervais was killed last week by her fiancé, who then reportedly turned the gun on himself and died in hospital days later. Last year, 4-year-old Bella Walker died as a result of blunt force trauma. The Office of the Spouse has partnered with the ministry for this event.
Domestic abuse and gender violence in their many incarnations and manifestations are socially unacceptable and culturally intolerable. Therefore, all of civil society must join hands, place all hands on deck.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Still to come, Foam partners with an international group to effect change in local communities. And the Life for Key Foundations launched a new graduate and technical scholarship program. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. An organization claiming continuity of the Black Panther Party of the 1960s is making its presence felt in the Bahamas by helping families in need. Cale Campbell has more.
Founder and Chief General in Command of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, Dr. Ali Mohammed, visited the Bahamas this week for the opening of the RBPP Bahamas chapter. The organization claims itself to be a continuation of the original Black Panther Party of the 1960s with a mission to feed, clothe, shelter, train, and defend the people, according to Mohammed.
Us actually going out there to serve the people so that we could develop a self-sufficiency where the people are able to feed, clothe, shelter, train, and defend self. So the reason for starting the Revolutionary Black Panther Party Bahamas chapter is so that we're able to help provide those resources in the Bahamas and basically create an environment of self-sufficiency.
Partnered with families of all murder victims, the organization announced its chapter opening with a food giveaway as well as a raffle giveaway where the winner will have their rent or utility bill fully paid. Mohammed says they plan to continue the initiative once a month.
So whoever is in need can always register or come out and they'll be able to get their needs met. But like I said, it's one person per month with that. But as far as the food program and the clothing program, those are weekly programs.
Mohammed said they hope to collaborate with Foam in establishing an all-women's shelter as well.
We know about the tragedy of Sister Heavenly, who just lost her life the other day. And if there were certain things set up properly, certain things like that wouldn't happen. Not just the fact of the person and what their background was and how they was able to be out and even target her, but we're just talking about platforms set up where people can be safe.
Mohammed, who claims he has roots in the Bahamas, says they are willing to work with the government in any future endeavor. Founder and director of Foam, Candy Gibson, said the RBPP plans on running the free resources program through Foam.
I want to thank Dr. Mohammed for even participating with us. Like he said, poverty is a reason for all the crimes and basically on the crimes in our country, and it's always a pleasure to be able to partner with such a person to be able to give more to our community. And like he said, we will do a program by partnering where one person will be able to get their rent paid a month, and they would have to come to basically Foam for that.
Yes.
Basically Foam to that, and like he said, the partnership again to build a female shelter.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Cale Campbell.
The Life for Key Foundation is announcing the launch of the Resilience and Excellence Bahamas Education Program, a new scholarship initiative focused on graduate and technical studies. Over a 4-year period, the program will provide for a total of 10 graduate and 10 technical scholarships to study in Canada. This year, the program will offer up to 4 new scholarships for UB graduates to pursue graduate studies for up to 2 years, and up to 4 scholarships for BTVI students to complete a bachelor's degree. Executive Director Dr. Nicola Virgil Rhodes said foundations particularly wanted to support students who had attended local tertiary schools. Still ahead, a look back at my time here at Our News. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to Our News. Expect windy and cloudy conditions this weekend. Greg takes a look at the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Big changes in our forecast for the weekend as a deep low pressure system rapidly intensifies and pulls towards the north and away from the Bahamas. Increasing winds, as well as dragging a very strong cold front into our area late tonight and into Saturday. So we are looking for an invasion of very cold air mass across areas. So we're looking at very windy conditions, very chilly temperatures for the weekend. Make sure you prepare accordingly, as the system will continue to influence our weather for the balance of the weekend, but a slight warming is expected by early next week. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight to tomorrow. Gale warnings in effect for you guys. Boaters, we're asking you to remain in ports. Beachgoers, we're asking you to stay out of the waters. Southwest to west winds tonight, but they will be increasing and becoming northwesterly at 20 to 30 knots across all areas across the northwest and central Bahamas, and gusting to gale force. 6 to 9 foot seas expected, and very rough seas up to 12 feet. Low tide will be at 10:21 tonight for the southeast Bahamas, a caution flag initially, but we expect those caution flags to be raised to an advisory by tomorrow afternoon. Southeast to south winds tonight, northwesterly at 15 to 20 knots tomorrow, but building and increasing. Seas will be running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Friday. Cold and chilly temperatures expected, as well as windy conditions. Stay safe for the weekend. Back to you, Kyle.
Well, since 2014, Our News has been my second home. I started this journey as an eager 23-year-old ready to make my mark on the local news industry. Whether it was covering elections, unimaginable tragedies, or hitting the gym on Fit Fridays, I sought to immerse myself in my stories. Now, as I choose a new path in my career, I take with me amazing memories of my time on this set and in the field. 14 grand opening.
For 8 years, he's been a key part of the Our News family.
Living in this Haitian village for 6 years now.
Now, senior reporter and anchor Kyle Joaquin is saying farewell. We will never forget the 23-year-old UB grad eager to establish himself as a hard-hitting journalist, from chasing the big stories and hitting the campaign trail to having fun in the field. Kyle has left an indelible impression on us and our viewing audience. But that's not all we'll miss. Who can forget the beard? Kyle, we wish you all the best.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Have a good evening, Bahamas. Well, for the last time, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. It has been a pleasure spending every evening with you. Thank you and good night.